is what actually works when motivation drops. So just think about it. Have you ever felt, and maybe even recently, excited about a new goal or a new project or a new habit, only to wake up one day and realize, your motivation is gone. You're just not into it the way you thought you would be. Maybe you started exercising and then it didn't take long and you couldn't talk yourself into it. Maybe you planned to journal more and you did it for a few days and then you let it fall by the wayside. Or maybe you committed to better boundaries, maybe specific boundaries with a specific person. This is something that I deal with on the daily. Or maybe you had a business goal and you were super excited about it. And at first, it felt really easy. Maybe this boundary that we're talking about with a specific person or an exercise routine that you thought, man, this sounds really easy. And then when life gets busy or you get a little bit of pushback, you get tired, something unexpected comes up, and then suddenly that motivation has just disappeared. And you just feel like you don't have the energy to hold true to what you had said you were going to do. So today, we're going to talk about what actually works when our motivation drops, because it will drop. It will drop. So let's open up the chat for a minute. And what's something you've struggled to stay motivated with, motivated to do consistently? Think about what that is, type it in the comments, write it down in your journal, or just keep it up here. Something that you've struggled to stay motivated to do consistently. And then we're going to take a few slow breaths, because I'll tell you what, when you think about some of these things that we're really committed to personally, professionally, and then when our motivation just wanes or we get tired and exhausted, it can bring stress. It can bring anxiety. It can raise your blood pressure. So let's just take 3 slow breaths together. And today I'm going to use a little bit of balance. I love that balance. So let's take 3 slow breaths together. Mm, All right. Now, what if you stopped expecting yourself to feel motivated all the time, waiting till you feel motivated? Think about that. What if consistency had less to do with motivation and more to do with what you do when your motivation isn't there? Think about that. So consistency having less to do with that motivation piece and more to do with what you do when your motivation isn't there. because there's so many things that are vying for our attention. So, first of all, we want to talk just a little bit about why motivation comes and goes. So, first thing is, motivation is not a character trait. You're motivated or you're not. No, it's not really a character trait. It is a feeling, and feelings naturally fluctuate. And it's a good thing that they do. Sometimes we feel energized, sometimes we feel discouraged, sometimes we're just simply frustrated or tired. And it wouldn't be good to feel that way all the time. You know, feeling energized all the time, it can really wear you out. So, motivation is often strongest when we're talking about something new or when the results come quickly, so you can get something done quickly, and when your life is like even keel. So, motivation is usually pretty achievable during those three times. But that motivation can drop, especially when progress feels slow, like you can't even see any progress and you've been at it for some time, or when challenges appear or your other responsibilities increase, maybe unexpectedly, or when you don't see immediate results. And I'll tell you what, that is normal. The problem isn't that our motivation disappears when life happens. The problem is expecting it to stay, expecting motivation to get you through 24/7 year round, because it doesn't work that way. So, when was the last time you stopped doing something important because the excitement wore off? Hmm. Think about it. Sometimes it's a good, when the excitement wears off, you go on to something different, but sometimes it's important to stick with it. So let's talk for just a couple seconds about the danger of waiting until you feel like it. Many of us unknowingly create this rule. I I'll do it when I feel motivated. And there's a problem with that. And what's the problem? Some days that feeling never comes. So imagine if we only brushed our teeth when we felt inspired, or we only showed up for work when we felt motivated. Most of the things that matter happen because we have decided that they're important and not necessarily because we feel like doing them day in and day out. So, what is one thing that you know would benefit your life if you did it more consistently, regardless of how you felt? Benefit your life, benefit your relationships, benefit your business, your job, your career. Think about that. What is one thing? Because I'm all about just choosing one priority. Right now, today, what is one thing that would benefit if you did it all, if you did it more consistently, regardless of how you felt? So let's do a little bit of reflection. I want you to finish these sentences. You can type them in the comments, you can write them in your journal, you can just say them in your head. I tend to wait until I feel blank before I start. So think about things that need to get done. I tend to wait until I feel what before I get started. You fill in the blank. The next one. One thing I have been postponing is, and you fill in the blank. What's one thing you've been postponing? Just because you're not feeling as motivated as you want to be. Another question to reflect on is, if I stopped waiting for motivation, I could blank. What is it? If I stopped waiting for motivation, I could, and I want you to fill in the blank. And you're invited to share your thoughts if you want to in the comments. You're invited to message me if you'd like to, because I'd like to hear from you. If this is something that you were curious about, and when you lose momentum, then let's think about some tiny actions that can maintain momentum or help you get that momentum back. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they need to do the full version. So you need to do all or nothing. So instead of 30 minutes of exercise, what could you try? 5 minutes at a time? If you're not able to maintain and consistently do 30 minutes of exercise every single day, drop it down a little bit so that it is sustainable. If you're a writer and you're trying to get motivated to write, instead of writing 3 pages every single night, maybe try doing 1 paragraph a night consistently. And over time, that is going to add up to those 3 pages that you still haven't gotten written. Now let's think about the house. This whole house is a mess. I need to clean the whole house. And you just get frustrated at the very beginning. You don't know where to start. Try one room at a time, maybe even one closet at a time, or maybe one shelf on the closet. So you see what I'm saying? We're biting it off in manageable chunks, tiny actions that create evidence. And evidence creates confidence, and then confidence creates momentum. So it's that simple. Those tiny actions are what make the difference over time. So let's think about this. What is the smallest version of a goal you could accomplish this week? The smallest piece of it, something that you've been putting off. What is the smallest version of that goal that you could accomplish this week? So let's create a tiny action plan. So I want you to think about a goal, choose one goal. It's only Monday, so you've got the whole week to put this tiny action plan in place. So you have one goal, and then I want you to shrink it. Shrink that goal in half. But we're not done shrinking yet. Shrink it again in half. So you've got a big goal, you shrink it in half, and then you shrink it in half again. And it's okay to shrink, especially if it's something that really is important to you and you need to get it done. You just haven't been motivated. So Think about what action feels almost too easy. Too easy. If you want to read more, you're going to just read one page, or you're going to walk for 5 minutes, or just write one sentence. Not even a paragraph, just one sentence. Or maybe it's pause for a minute for prayer and just set a timer and pray for 1 minute. Or spend 5 minutes planning for tomorrow, because right now it's 4:30 Eastern time and the day's almost gone. You don't have to have an impressive goal for tomorrow and the rest of the week. You just have to have a goal, a fraction of a goal that is repeatable. Repeatable. So now let's think about how to restart quickly after you fall off track. So you miss one day, that doesn't ruin progress. You missed a week, that doesn't ruin progress. It's only a day or a week. Maybe it's even been longer. But the real problem isn't what happens next. Because if you just keep going, you can pick back up. But often people think, well, I blew it. I need to start over. Oh, I'll begin on Monday, or I'll get back on my diet tomorrow. So instead of qualifying it in ways like that, think about, okay, what is my next step? Because people who maintain progress over time aren't perfect. None of us are perfect. They simply restart faster. They learn how to regroup and get back on track. Because the longer we spend time judging ourselves, making excuses, the longer we stay stuck. So think about it. What would change if we treated setbacks as pauses instead of failures? I know for myself personally, for the last 3 days, I have just been chilling, just relaxing. 3 days. I don't often spend 3 days just doing what I want to, not working on Etsy, not working on my courses or my email list or anything, just chilling, binge watching uh, renovation shows, which has been a lot of fun. But today I got myself back on track and I've been busy, productive. So as we get ready to say goodbye, I want to invite you to answer a few questions. What stood out most to you today? If you listened and you took it to heart what we were talking about today, what stood out most to you? And where have you been relying on motivation only? Maybe personally, professionally. And what is one tiny, shrunken down goal that could help you maintain momentum this week? And then the very last one, what will help you restart faster when life gets busy, you get off track? So in the comments, I'm going to put some statements in there for you to complete as a momentum plan, a personal momentum plan. And it's going to have a few uh, statements for you to complete. So take a look in the comments and you'll see it. And I'd like for you to put it into practice. Use it today. Use it this week and see what happens. So today's session really wasn't about getting hyped up and more motivated because I'm not the one that can motivate you and keep you going. That's something that you determine on your own. It was really about learning how to become more prepared, less judgmental, because motivation comes and goes. Life gets busy. Unexpected things happen all the time. And just remember, the people who make progress aren't the people who feel motivated every day, have a perfect life, never has anything pop up. It's the people who continue to keep showing up in small ways and know how to begin again, even when they get off track. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. You don't need more motivation to move forward. You need a next step that's simple enough to take, even on an ordinary day. So I'd like for you to drop one word in the chat that describes how you want to move through this coming week. How do you want to move through the next few days? Do you want to be steady, consistent, focused, intentional, calm, courageous? How do you want to move through this coming week? Commit to it in the comments. And then if you'd like support creating a personalized plan and maybe building more consistency in a way that fits your real life, I'd love to support you through a Clarity Kickstart session. And again, I'll put that down in the comments. We also have a Clarity collection that's a self-study if that's something you're interested in, or even our Self-Expansion Unlocked coaching program. So just remember, you don't need more motivation. You just need the next step. So thank you for joining us today, and I will see you next Monday. Bye-bye.